September is Suicide Prevention Month, and here in Idaho, the issue is especially urgent. A group of Boise nonprofits is teaming up this week to raise awareness and break the stigma around mental health. And joining us here live in studios, professional skier and mental health advocate Drew Petersen and Shannon Decker with the Speedy Foundation. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to start with you, Drew, because we know you for your professional level of skiing there, but you're also a very big advocate about mental health. What inspired you to share that story?
I've struggled with mental health my whole life, all the way back to being a little kid, and I went on to live the dream, build a life as a professional skier. I get paid to travel the world and ski powder in front of cameras, and through all of that, I kept struggling. And I realized that I was in a position and I had the opportunity to talk about these things openly and publicly in a way that could help people, and that in a way that could help shift the culture of my community and the Mountain West at large on mental health.
Did you feel like there was a big need here? Were you surrounded by people who could use something like that?
Well, I had struggled completely in secret, and I realized along that path of getting help that other people must have been struggling in secret too, and especially in the ski world and in the ski community, this was a very rare conversation to have, and so I had to change it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being brave enough to share that story. I appreciate you. Tell us a little bit more about the Speedy Foundation, what that is in correlation with tonight's event, if you can talk about that, Shannon.
Yeah, absolutely. Speedy Foundation was started in 2011 following the death of my cousin, Speedy Petersen. So no relation. But in Speedy's life, he also needed people that he looked up to talk about mental health and to have the stigma changed. And unfortunately, that didn't happen in his lifetime. So we've been running the Speedy Foundation in Idaho, Utah, and Northern California now for 14 years. And so I came across Drew's article during COVID and reached out. We happen to be living in the same area in Lake Tahoe and have become friends. So about 2 years ago in Boise, we had a lot of youth who died by suicide. And there have been some parent groups that have been stood up. And in looking at what they can do to change that narrative and to inspire our youth and our families, I said, let's consider bringing in Drew Petersen. His story has just been so transformative, and he's been such a pleasure to work with. And so between the Boise School District launching Hope Squad programming in the middle and the high schools, and these other parent groups, the You Me We All nonprofit, as well as Connection is the Cure, it just seemed like the right opportunity to bring Drew to Boise, take him through the Boise schools, take him to Boise State, and tomorrow night, Thursday at the Egyptian, is when we'll be having our community screening.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit more about what we can expect to see at that screening.
Yeah, like Shannon said, this week we already visited Boise State, and then we're going into the high schools as well as visiting the Hope Squads in the middle schools all week. But on Thursday, October 2nd, we're going to be having a community event at the Egyptian Theater. Doors at 6, show at 7. We're going to be screening my film, Feel It All, which centers around skiing the peaks around the Leadville 100 course, an iconic 100-mile ultramarathon in Colorado. I share my mental health journey in that. I'm going to be giving a keynote talk afterwards, relating my story to that of our community at large. And we're going to have a bunch of resources there and really make it a community celebration of mental health.
It's very important, though, for people that cannot make it to the event. Any resources, where can people go and get that information?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to have about 10 partners on site, and those partners are also available on our website. We've got a handful of community partners that won't be available, but that are very robust in the community. We'll also have our calls to action. We'll have other events that are dedicated to mental health happening throughout the state. We've got some trainings and some other ways to get involved and to advocate for mental health, including, how to work around 988 and some of the legislative issues that have been happening in Idaho.
Well, thank you so much to both of you for being here, and you get to meet Drew tomorrow at the Egyptian Theater starting at 6 o'clock. Is that right? All right. Well, thank you again for being here, and we'll be right back after this.